Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, I hope you're doing well wherever you are in the world. Merry Christmas across the globe to every Kenyan across the globe. Whether you're in Europe, US, Kenya, China, Asia, whatever, Antarctica. Merry Christmas to everybody. This is Kenya Revolutionary for a Christmas session here. The content keep on contenting, so we have to keep on going and bring you another video. Again, let's get the formalities out of the way. If this is your first time in this channel, I talk about Kenyan politics and world politics as it relates to Kenya. So if that's kind of what you're interested in, this is a place for you. So go ahead and subscribe, like, share, comment, do all the wonderful stuff. Okay? And make sure you have your notification button on, so every time I come in, you will always get notified that I'm here, so you can, take part of the discussion in the chat, or you can join the studio. But today I won't let anybody in the studio, because I have to run. It's Christmas. We have to keep it short, but we have to talk about what we have to talk about. So karibuni sana. For those of you who have already subscribed, go ahead. You know the first order of business. Like the video and make sure the notification button is on, right? All right, so let's discuss. Musalia Mudavadi Mudamba wants a referendum in 2027, the same day when we'll be holding when the elections will be held, the general election will be held. He wants to also have a plebiscite. He wants us to choose so that we can tinker with our constitution, because he says there's some issues that require a constitutional change. Do you agree? I certainly do not. But we shall briefly discuss about that and see if this is really coming from Musalia Mudavadi, or it's coming from his boss, or it's a plan by the political elites in Kenya. Number two, we shall shortly discuss. I won't say much about this because I don't like gossip, but the wife of Jaramogi Oginga, the youngest wife, allegedly so-called, that's what she said. I think her name is Achieng or Atieno, or whatever the case is, Jabado, or whatever the case, came out and had some startling things to say about Mama Ida, the now, the wife of Raila Odinga, who has been left behind. Okay, she says some startling stuff, including, the death of Ouko, the death of Jakoyo Midiwo, and this is sending some shockwaves. But of course, I don't actually, you have to, everything she says, you have to take it with a pinch of salt, because she, admittedly, she's not happy with the Odinga family for the reasons that she gave. You can go check her video out. I'll briefly just talk about what she said. And finally, Sifuna is really under attack. What's up with Sifuna? Sifuna and Orengo. Now, I'll mention the main people who are attacking Sifuna. They have some checkered past, very, very dodgy individuals that we have to actually examine closely and see who they are really working for, who's really selling ODM. Is it really Sifuna, or is this some people are hiring some voices to try to take out Sifuna and take a hold of the ODM party? Kahawa kama kawaida. Anyway, let's start with Mudavadi. So Mudavadi came out and said that it will be best if we hold a referendum during the general elections, because it will be cost effective. We don't have to have a referendum then have a general election separately, okay, on a separate date, to save time and money and all that stuff. Let's just hold a referendum while we're also having a general election, so people decide. And I would say this is a very, very conniving, tricky suggestion. As I explained in my last video, that I posted yesterday, I told you that the mechanics of this coming 2027, including the personnel, the governmental body that is mandated to undertake these 2027 elections in Kenya is compromised. They are in Ruto's pocket. Ruto is fully in control of what's going to happen in 2027 as far as elections are concerned. That's in the bag. We know it's going to be rigged. Now, don't you find it funny that Musalia, who is basically the mouthpiece of Ruto, would suggest that it would be nice to have a referendum on the same day using the same compromised IEBC to tinker with the constitution in order to create this position of prime ministerial position and other positions, increase presidential term limits, prime ministerial term limits, and other positions. Don't you find it funny that he's advocating for that? Listen, a referendum, yes, it's always held if people feel like the constitution of the day that we have in place needs some changes in it. If they feel that it's not progressive enough, the whole country citizenry, citizens of Kenya, the people of Kenya, are to be consulted and are to make their voices known in order to participate, whether they would like this document, this social contract of the people, by the people, for the people, is to be, changed or modified. That's the whole point of having a referendum. If you want to know that this whole call for a referendum to take place on this general election is a very, very malicious act on a cheeky trick by this political class. Because as of right now, who is complaining about the 2010 Kenyan constitution? Who has come out and said the constitution is not working for us? Let's make a change. Who has come out and said that? Is that the general feeling among the population of Kenya? Does the average Kenyan feel like we need to modify, change some section of this constitution in order for the system to work? The last time I checked, no one is complaining. So why is it that Mudavadi, who is the mouthpiece of this corrupt political class, which is headed by Ruto and co, why do they need this constitution to be changed? Now, the second reason why I say this is a very, very tricky, cheeky proposition by these corrupt political elites of Kenya is that they understand that the instruments that are going to be used to tabulate the votes, the personnel that are going to participate in this electoral process of counting the votes, verifying the votes, and the heads thereof, when you consider the IEBC chairperson and all those minions, Ruto minions that are at the IEBC, these guys are already compromised. So how do we trust that if we are to go to the polling station to cast our votes, whether we vote yay or nay for the change in the constitution, what confidence do the people of Kenya have in this system that we already know is already rigged? If the system is rigged, the personnel that are put there, that are appointed there to oversee this electoral process, the machines already are programmed to predetermine a certain outcome. Why should we feel that we are going to have our say respected, our voice heard through the ballot paper? What confidence do we have? It's like you're asking me to go to an elections that I know is already rigged in favor of a certain candidate. It is as if you're telling me to go vote for a proposition in this referendum, knowing very well that the person who wants this constitution changed has enough influence and has bought off the machines that we are going to use to cast our votes in or to count our votes, and the personnel that are going to oversee the process are in his pockets. Why should I walk into the electoral booth to cast my vote, knowing very well that the whole process is rigged, flawed? You see what I'm saying? Let me spell it out for you again. Let's say, for example, the proposition is, should Kenya have a prime minister or not? Vote yes or no. Of course, Ruto would like to have it as yes. And this same Ruto is the head of the state. This same Ruto has handpicked the IBC. This same Ruto has his folks controlling the machines that are going to tabulate the votes on the outcome of whether we are going to vote yes or no. So what confidence do I, as a voter, have walking into that voting booth? Why should I expect a fair, verifiable electoral process if I know for a fact that the IBC personnel are working for Ruto and they've been handpicked by Ruto? Listen to me very carefully. Listen to me very carefully. The reason why I keep on telling you guys that this is a dream of these corrupt political elites in Kenya. If you remember, when they were picking up, they were choosing, when the selection panel were being assembled, remember Kalonzo was making a lot of noise saying that he has to have some people who are picked from the Wiper Party or something like that, affiliated. Raila had his own people, ODM, handpicked folks. UDA, of course, was in control of who they were going to handpick to be part of the selection panel and in turn to become the part of the IBC commission. Remember that process? Both ODM, Wiper, and everybody was making noise that they need their own folks to be part of this commission, IBC commission. Okay? And there was all these debates where people are saying, oh, you know, somebody's passed your political affiliation shouldn't matter. While in principle, that might hold up. But in practice, especially given the Kenyan context, it's not doable. But regardless, what I'm trying to bring to your attention is this, that this is something that Kalonzo, Ruto, Uhuru, Gachagua, Kindiki, Wamalwa, Wajakoya, all these folks, Martha Karua, they have sat down and discussed this. Because like I usually tell you, these folks don't even care about the wananchi. It's all about positions. Because these positions that they want to create comes with taxpayers' money that they will enjoy, the perks of power, bodyguards, high salaries, nice sweet retirement packages, red carpets, flag in your car, high salaries, high allowances. You understand what I'm saying? This is what these people want. They've had it since 1992. So the reason why they want to tinker with the constitution is because they want to create these positions. That way, if after Ruto rigs himself in and is re-elected as the president of the Republic of Kenya, the loser will not lose, because the loser will be made to take the prime ministerial position and all these cabinet positions that they want to create. Therefore, everybody is happy because everybody has received a position that is high paying, with high pay allowances, with high benefits, good benefits. Unaelewa? That's the whole thing, that the same script Nani was used to run on us, the same play Raila used to play on us. And Ruto said it in public, mzee najua kitu anataka. All he needs is kaka office kake, some bodyguards, kagari, red carpet, benefits, and he will stop with the mandamano. So here, Ruto is coming up with that idea because he knows 2027 is going to be obvious that he has rigged himself back to victory. And in order to quiet down the opposition, he wants to introduce this idea that let's also take a vote on whether we should change the constitution to accommodate the loser of these elections, which is going to be the united opposition. Wakina Martha Karua, wakina Kalonzo, wakina Gachagua, wakina Eugene Wamalwa. Because remember, these guys are not different. These are all these stooges. Listen, everybody in this political class, the people who are being meant to believe are opposition, are basically Ruto's minions. Matiang'i, Kalonzo, Musalia, Wetangula, Wamalwa, Gachagua, Kindiki. All these people are Ruto's and Uhuru Kenyatta minions. This is the original TNA. Jubilees, sorry. So these people, they only care about position. They want that name Mheshimiwa. They want to stay relevant. That way, when they change the constitution, if Kalonzo is made prime minister, and maybe Matiang'i the deputy prime minister, they can always have these useless jobs. Wanatumwa huko Lesotho, wanaingia kwa private plane, wanapewa allowance ya 2 million hapo, wanatembea huku na huku. You understand what I'm saying? That is what they're fighting for. That's why Musala Mudavadi wants to introduce this plebiscite, referendum. And like I say, the timing is suspect. Why bring it up now? No one has mentioned anything about the constitution. No one is complaining about the 2010 constitution, the current constitution that we have. No one is saying that this constitution is not working for us. If anything, Kenyans are saying, implement it in its entirety. Ruto is actually breaching this current constitution. You can't refuse to respect the current constitution, then say it's not working, let's change it. While you have refused to respect the current one. Shamaya Hussein, nice seeing you. Merry Christmas, my sister. So you see, Ruto is thinking ahead. He wants to introduce a referendum in order to accommodate his political enemies or political competitors. Let me not say enemies. Okay? Because he knows these guys, all they care about is these small parks. So wakishindwa, they're not staying in the cold. Hawatampatia a lot of headache. Ataanza kusema, you see, we can have now a working relationship. Prime Minister Kalonzo Musyoka and his deputy Matiang'i and Gachagua, who will become maybe, I don't know, head of opposition or leader of the opposition, something like that. That way we don't have an opposition. Just the same way now we don't even have opposition. That's the trick. We don't need a referendum. Somebody tell Musalia Mudavadi, we do not need a referendum. We don't need to change anything in that constitution. But Mudavadi and Ruto knows that they control the process. They control the outcome of whatever elections, voting system that we have in Kenya. It will favor their position. So that's why he's up for it. He wants it. Because it will pass whatever he wants. When he says he wants the constitution to be changed so that we can create a prime ministerial position and other positions, if that's what he favors, he will get it because he controls the personnel that are going to oversee the elections. He controls the voting machines that are going to tabulate the results to his favor. So it will favor him. So that's why he wants it. And it will work out in his favor because now, once those positions are created, he will put those political opposition, place them there, and say, see, you have something. Amkuamulia matupu. Hold that prime ministerial position. Mutembe saying a lot of nothing. A very unconstitutional thing. Shemaya, karibu sana. Shamu is telling me, I think Kenyans have not suffered yet. Why can't they unite and have a people revolution, even if army will take over before we do have a credible elections? Absolutely. I always wonder how people are focused on 2027 election while Itumbi has IBC portal. Absolutely. They totally control the IBC. That's why they are encouraging you, twende mtukapige kura. Chukweni kura. And then mkapige kura. They know. You know, the first question you should ask yourself is this. If an unpopular president is eager to head to the polls, you have to wonder, hey, what is wrong with this poll? There's something in these polls. An unpopular candidate, a president that understands that he's hated by the people, very unpopular, is eager, including these MPs and silly politicians. They're telling you, tuendeni tukapige kura, tuendeni tukapige. You have to ask yourself, kwa nini? Watu wamejua the people don't want them, the people have rejected them, the people are angry with them, but wanawaambia ati tuendeni elections. Why? And they will justify it. Ndio maana unawasikia wakisema, oh, the only way you can remove these leaders is through elections. So ngojeni tuende tukapige kura. Because they understand they don't want a popular revolution to happen, because a popular revolution will be the people taking power in their own hands. The sovereignty will be activated and they will vote, push our MPs and the President Ruto out. That's why they want you to go to elections, because they know the electoral process is something that they control and they know what outcome it shall have. That's why they are so eager telling you, tuendeni tukapige kura, chukueni kura, chukueni kura. Yes. If opposition didn't manage to secure their votes in the last by-election, how then will they secure the general? Thank you. I've been telling, I told everyone, I was like, because everyone was like, oh, tuende tukachukueni kura, vijana chukueni kura, oh, we shall have a, Wakina Amenya was telling, I even got into it with Amenya. Amenya was saying, oh, we can have a ballot revolution. What ballot revolution? Have you ever heard of any revolution that happens through the ballot? Ati watu wameenda kukura kufanya revolution gani? And I used to tell them, wacheni kuharibu wakati. Ati mnasema ati mtaenda kulinda kura, and then mkachukue kura, mkaregister, mkavote, sijui mkafanye nini. You heard what Murkomen said. Murkomen said, ukishapiga kura, don't stand there. Enda nyumbani. Or else wataku arrest. Why? Because they don't want you to linda hiyo kura mko mnasema mnataka kulinda. Then after that, what did they come up with? Walianza kusema ati hizo results ziko kwa polling station might not be the final one. And I told you this even before they made that announcement. Walisema ati hizo results ambazo ziko kwa polling station, hiyo presidential, unajua by law, the results at the polling station is final. But IBC walikuja wakasema ati, oh, those results at the polling station will not be final. They'll be sent to Bomas so that they can check them to see if there's any mistakes. Na niliwaambia, this is exactly what they'll do. And they're doing it, IBC. Na isitoshe, IBC came out the third time and told us what? Oh, we'll allow early voting. You know, these IBC members, hawa tu wa IBC agents, hawatakuwa na time ya kuvote hiyo siku. So we shall allow early voting. Hawa. Bado amjashika rada bado. So, and these are the same people who are telling you, and then mkachukue kura, and they're telling you, isitoshe, sasa tuongeze referendum hapo ndio to change your constitution. Do you see mchezo ambao Ruto na this political class are doing? Wanaambia, this is a democratic process. It's a democratic process, and then mkapige kura. Lakini wamejua, hao ndio wamesimamia hiyo process. Sasa we niambie, hata kama umesema ati hautaki hii constitution igeuzwe, ukienda kupiga kura useme no, you don't want a prime minister position, unafikiri utashinda Ruto? Na yeye ndiye ata count hizo vote essentially through his millions at the IBC, who he has handpicked and paid, and the machine from that Venezuelan company that is used to rig elections. Lakini tunachezanga. So ile mchezo tunacheza hapo Kenya. They will have parallel tallying center, but even if opposition announce their results, the valid results are from IEB. Ndio hiyo. That's why I'm telling people. Naambia hapa. I've been telling you. Hii 2027 inaenda kuwa a sham. There's no elections in 2027. I don't mean to say that no one will line up and vote. What I mean is the process will not be it will be so flawed. There will be no election. Just like the same reason Maraga nullified that 2017 election, it will be the same reason here. Hii si uchaguzi, hii itakuwa ni wizi wa hali ya juu. Mchana mkiona. And that's why they want to throw in that referendum ndani hapo, so they can do away with the term limits or make the longer term limits for president. Ndio Ruto aanze mpya, Ruto to serve another 7 years or 10 years. Alafu prime ministerial position ya kina Musalia na kina Wetangula na wengine weo, au pia waingie kwa hiyo position ambayo ina serve another 7 or 10 years. So you can always have the same faces. Remember yesterday when I said, why is it we have the same faces since 1992? Hao watu wanapiga tu merry go round. Kalonzo wako hapa kwa serikali, kesho wako opposition. Ruto wako kwa serikali, kesho wako opposition. Uhuru wako serikali, kesho wako opposition. Nani wako kwa Gachagua kwa serikali, leo wako opposition. Same people. Matiangi. Why? It is by design. Tunazungushwa hivi, but these are the colonial puppets that are working on behalf of the globalist cabal that are ruling Kenya by usurping its sovereignty. So they have to put their stooges in place and make sure they stay there as long as possible. Because as long as the Matiangis, Rutos, Uhurus, Kalonzo, Gachagua are there as your leaders, the West can always extract minerals from Africa for free and write your laws and change any progressive constitution that would benefit and ensure the rights of people are respected. They will do away with that through these minions, these greedy, compromised leaders like Kalonzo, like Ruto, like Uhuru, like Gachagua, like Martha Karua, like Wamalwa, like Wetangula, like Mudavadi, like Wajakoya. All these people. That's why they're always in our faces. Since birth, you see the same people. They're not going anywhere. They're pretending to be opposition. Kesho wako huku. Kesho wako pale. Kesho wako huko. No change. If I may ask, what is the guarding our votes after voting? I don't understand it. So the guarding of our votes, this is what they were arguing. For those of wale walikuwa nasema watalinda kura, from my understanding. Walikuwa nasema ati wakishapiga kura, they will hang around the polling station to make sure that no one is messing with the ballot boxes. Okay? Lakini your story has been countered by Murkomen. When Murkomen alikuja akasema in that by-election, akasema hivi, ati ukishapiga kura, do not hang around, enda nyumbani. Ukikaa karibu na hapo hiyo voting station na ushapiga kura, you will be arrested. Unaona? So that there's no way nyinyi mnasema ati mnaenda kulinda kura, mtaenda kulinda kura. You understand what I'm saying? So ashawatoa kwa box. So that is how they are doing it. And they're using a lot of ways. I was shocked. And I said this before. Mimi ile kitu ni shock vile walianza kusema ati now the results at the polling station are not going to be final. The results shall be your ballot kwa polling station will be taken to Bomas for verification, which is against the law. But the IEBC is saying so. Na wakasema hiyo haitatosha, hata hiyo bado italeta makele. So let's come up with another one. Wakaanza kusema nini? They will allow early voting for IEBC agents. Early voting. The biggest trick if you want to rig the elections at early voting. Hey. So you see, Ruto ashawapanga. And he's so confident in this compromise system ambayo ameshanunua and he controls to a point that he's willing to throw in this question of referendum. Kwa sababu he's confident he will get the results that he wants, which is to change the constitution so that he extends his term limit as the president of Kenya. Not only that, create positions for these tumbocrats who are behaving at wanajifanya ati hao ndio united opposition. That is the trick. Ndio maana unaona Moses Kuria has already said that I support, ametoka akasema ati I support this idea of having a referendum in the next general elections. Sinimulisikia? Enda kaangalia, go look at his tweet. Musalia is always the deliverer of bad news to Kenya. The deliverer of bad. So unakumbuka, Musalia Mudavadi is the first person who came out and told Kenyans that Ruto and Raila are working on a broad-based handshake like agreement. He was the first one. So Musalia Mudavadi is the bearer of bad news. Angel Gabriel is the bearer of good news. Musalia Mudavadi is the bearer of bad news to Kenya. He's the mouthpiece of the political class, the corrupt political elites of Kenya. Na amesema anataka referendum. Now, the law says, if there's to be a referendum, it has to be the people's initiated move. Karibu sana Omugendi, I see you. You know the first of business. I hope Uganda is well. Huh? It has to be a people's initiative. Uhuru Kenyatta tried that referendum thing with his BBI that was shut down in the courts, at the courts. And the courts ruled, thank you so much, Omugendi. Omuganda, actually, Omuganda. It's not Omuganda. Omuganda Katende. That's my brother. Uhuru tried it and the court ruled that the initiative of a referendum cannot come from the executive. It has to come from the people. The people have to see the need for a change in the constitution, not the president. That guarding votes can't work in Mbere by election. Agents sign a form with 364 BT at the tallying center. The form reads, reads what? Let me see that. The form reads only 4. Yeah. That's why I'm telling you. That's why I keep on saying there will be no election in 2027. There is no election. There is no election. They know they're in control of everything. IBC, the machines, the agents, all are working for Ruto. They're fully in control of it. Ndio maana wanataka include hiyo mambo ya referendum hapo, because they know they will get the results that they want to change the constitution in order to create these positions. It has always been their plan. Plan haija change just because Raila alikufa. Hii plan ilianza kitambo. That's why I told you the example of Uhuru Kenyatta when he wanted to siku za BBI. He wanted to change the constitution. Just barely 10 years after it was renewed. We had the new constitution. Anataka kuichange immediately. Hii ya BBI. And the court had to stop him. And now again, you see, Nari Ruto wants to change it. Why are they speaking the same language? It is because they're the very same people. Agenda is the same. Ndio maana nawaambianga, these personalities, the difference between Ruto and Uhuru is the personality. They are same people. Personality tu. Yule alikuwa ni mlevi na amependa kupiga makelele hapa payaya. Huyu naye na uongo zake. lakini the agenda is the same. You are still borrowing, corruption bado inaendelea, extrajudicial killings, extra constitutional breach of the constitution, abductions, watu wanauawa. Nothing has changed. They just vary in the degree of which they are stealing and doing all that stuff, but they are the same. And the same players are still there. Wakina Musalia bado wako hapo, Wetangula, sijui nani, Gachagua, Batiangi. These are the same people. Wengine wanajifanya opposition, sijui united opposition. Wakina Martha Karua bado they're still randering. Nothing has changed. It's the same thing. Lakini mnazungushwa. They're trying this change of constitution to benefit them. They've been trying this. I'll speak about that more in depth later. In East Africa, we gave these useless politicians too much power that they became God. Absolutely. Kabisa, I'm with you 100%. These politicians are useless. Now, let's quickly talk about Odinga's family saga. I won't delve much into what's going on with the Odinga family because, it's neither here or there. Like, it doesn't have national implications as such, but it's simply important in some way, okay? The youngest wife of Jaramogi Oginga, I don't know if he's the mother of Oburu. I'm not quite sure. I don't know. I'm not sure. But she came out and said that, she said a lot. She said that, what did she say? She said that Ida Odinga, the wife of Odinga, Raila Odinga, who is now deceased, while Odinga was in jail, was detained by Moi, she had 2 kids by another man who is not Raila. And that Raila, when he came out, Raila wanted to chase her. Okay? Raila wanted to chase Ida Odinga, but it was Jaramogi Oginga who said, hey, keep her. You can't, she's stuck with you, even though she has kids that don't belong to you. We're too poor to apple. Okay? I don't know. And this lady also said that Fidel and Winnie Odinga is not Raila Odinga's kids biologically. Okay? Again, we don't know. I don't know. Maybe waende wafanye DNA test. I have no idea. I remember Aoko saying this some years ago, but no one really paid attention to Aoko. I don't know how true it is. It's irrelevant in the larger scheme of things. But what really caught my attention was the fact that, they say that, she was, once she made this thing, she made those pronouncements, Ida Odinga sent some people to rough her up, and Ida Odinga, whatever the case is involved in witchcraft. There have been rumors that, even Raila Odinga has said, he was involved in some occult stuff. I don't know. It's not important. What is important is when she mentioned that, this, I don't know, Ida Odinga, I don't know, she took Landia Railways, Kenya Railways, and changed it to her own, and people are working there, and they're not giving her anything. She's struggling. She's been mistreated. Then what's more astounding, when she claimed that Robert Ouko was actually unalived by, is it Achien? I forget his name. Some guy, but not be what? I forgot the name of this person he was mentioning. And he even said Jakoyo Midiwo was probably unalived by, somebody within that Odinga clan. I don't know, because he mentioned the fact that, Jakoyo had bought some huge land and they were fighting over it. And so he was unalive and they took over his land. So anyway, those are family internal matters. Some people were asking, why did she come out and say this earlier? Well, of course, when Raila, who being an influential person, obviously he made sure that this was not something that can come out to the public. Okay, but all in all, she mentioned that she supported Ruto. Okay, something like that, which kind of you can argue either way. Now, some people are saying that Ruto might be using her to disparage the Odinga name and all that stuff used by government. Yes, absolutely. Okay, Shamaya is giving more context on her. She was not married. She was staying with her sister Raila's mother, and I think Jaramogi was sleeping with her. Oh, okay. So Jaramogi was alikuwa kuna mpango wa kando. Okay. Shamaya is saying that woman is being used by government when he rejected as opposition. Okay. So they are kind of attack on, or yeah. So that might be true. The only question I would ask is if let's say, okay, it's possible the government might be using her, to attack Winnie or whatever the case of Odinga, to tarnish Oginga's Raila's name or the Odinga family name. I think if they're going to use her to do so, I think they should look out for her, because from what she said, she can barely, have a meal to eat. She can barely survive. She's not doing well financially, so they should at least look out for her. But all in all, this lady is really causing a lot of PR damage on the Odinga family, okay? It's not looking good. It's not looking good. I think they should reach out to her, throw her some crumbs. Mpatie ka plot, just make her shut up. I saw a couple of ladies came out in defense of Ida Odinga, saying, hey, wacha kutukana Ida, sijui nini, she's from Migori, do not. It's a bunch of nonsense, okay? It's a bunch of nonsense. But I would say this. I would say that, I think Oburu, being the now elder of that clan, okay, Oburu should reach out to her, squash whatever she's upset about. Kama ni kumpatia ka ploti or whatever the case, some money, do something. Anyamaze. It's not looking good. It's not looking good to the Odinga family. Not that Kenyans should care, but it's out there and it's messy, okay? So Oburu should reach out to her and do something. Somebody reach out to her, do something, mpatie kama ni hiyo business yake alikuwa ameanza ama whatever the case is, ndio hiyo story ishe hivyo. Yeah, it's just messy. It doesn't look well. It doesn't it just doesn't look well. That's all I can say about that. As far as hizo inner workings, hizo sijui nani amechukua sijui Winnie si mtoto wa nani, that's not for the Kenyans to worry about. That's for them to worry about. Okay. And by the way, we can use her, then eliminate her to paint Mama Ida bad. Yeah. But Mama Ida, I've heard things about Mama Ida, and I'm not talking about the Gaucho Aoko nonsense. I've heard people say that she's, she rules by an iron fist. Okay. She's not somebody to play with. Definitely. She's powerful in her own right. Okay. She's not that innocent mama you think she is. She yeah. I heard. But again, you can't go by that. You can't go by that. So again, for now, all I can say is, like I said, Oburu being the oldest son, whatever the case is, should go out there and take care of that mama. When I say take care, I'm talking about sit down with her, find out what the problem is, see if you can resolve it. Awache kukuja kwa media akianza kusema hizo vitu anasema. It's not looking good, okay? That's all I can say about that. Anything else is only in a politics ya familia, which I hope they will kind of nip in the butt, at the butt, or whatever the case is. Sifuna under attack. Lastly, Sifuna. Now, Sifuna. 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 Something with Sifuna. Let me say this very quickly. Sifuna is under attack And what I suspect, let me take a sip. Sifuna is being attacked by NIS pro-Ruto people. There's that Somali guy who is said to be an adopted Raila kid, Raila's son, or whatever the case is. I don't know what's his name. Remember that Somali guy, that fat dude? I don't trust him. I do not trust that guy. He went to Jacaranda and said he was going to give them 1 million or whatever the case. I do not trust this guy. This guy looks shady. He's the last guy who was seen with Raila Odinga. Now, we can debate whether Raila Odinga died in Nairobi or India, but this adopted Raila son is moving really, really funny. He came out and said that, oh, sijui Sifuna amenunuliwa, sijui to come and destroy sijui ODM or to hand over ODM to I don't know who. I do not trust him. Let me tell you why I don't trust this guy. Okay? Raila, in his last party ODM meeting, it was in Machako, somewhere, Ukambani there. Raila came out and said very clearly that what Sifuna says is the official position of the party as the Secretary General. You understand? We all had this. Everybody had this. We had this. He said, if Sifuna akisema kitu, that's the official position of the party. He endorsed what Sifuna was saying, or as the party general, secretary general, or whatever the case is, SG. Okay? And Raila Odinga also said one more thing that we also remember. There's a video footage of it. Raila Odinga said that in 2027, they shall have their own candidates, presidential candidates. That is what Raila said. Two things. That's why you know these people are NIS people. And I will bet my money this guy was somehow involved with Raila kupotea. But maisha kuninio. Because Raila had become very, very, I believe he was very, very careless in leading up to his kifo yake. Remember that lady even said, wow, watu waliwekewa poison kitambo. Okay? Yeah, na Uhuru. I don't know. But that's just speculation. Let me just deal with reality here. Okay? Verifiable facts. Raila said, I'll repeat again. Raila mentioned, unakumbuka vile kwa ile mazishi ya sijui nani, and Ruto was there. And Sifuna was going in on him. Alafu, even Ruto was visibly upset by Sifuna's speech. And he was like, wherever Sifuna, you should know that sisi ndio tulianza hii ODM. Basically, okay? But you could see that Ruto was upset with Sifuna. Okay? Then Raila akakuja akasema, Sifuna, you are the voice of the party. Ukiongea kama Secretary General, that's the official position of the party. Lakini, usifinye sana. You remember? And people started laughing. Unakuja sana, Sifuna. Okay? Let me see that. I'm told that's how used to blackmail Raila for money. Okay. Let me see. She's not a wife to Ramogi alikuwa kitu. Okay. All right. So, like I say, two things we can establish. Raila made it clear that in 2027, ODM shall have its own presidential candidate. And number two, Raila endorsed everything that Sifuna mentioned before he died. He says, Sifuna akiongea, that is the party's position. Okay? When people are asking, is Sifuna maninani? Ama kina Joe, but he made it very clear that he was Sifuna. So, for this guy to come in back, huyu jamaa amekam Somali, I don't know. People are saying he's connected with Wakina Nuruddin Haj, these NIS CID guys, okay? Intelligence people for Kenya. So he comes out and says, oh, Sifuna, sijui anataka kuuza party, sijui Sifuna anataka kufanya nini, sijui Sifuna is... And another suspect, another NIS agent, Kasmuel Makaure, showed up and, started... For Kasmuel, he's doing this for clout, okay? We know Kasmuel, he has nothing going on as far as politically. He burned his bridges. He was more famous while he was with the people, with the Gen Z. But once he joined ODM and started akaanza kushikana na Ruto, shaking Ruto's hand, working with Ruto, sijui fanya nini. He just lost all the clout that he had. And now, of course, he's probably getting paid by Wanga and Ruto, because Wanga and Ruto are in one. These folks that are working with Ruto, these ODM folks that are in government, like I mentioned yesterday, they want to maintain that agreement between UD and ODM post 2027, because of course they are gaining something. Mbadi is the Treasury CS. Wanga has sijui nini with Ruto. She hopes that he'll be handpicked to be the vice presidential candidate in 2027. Okay, Opio Andai is now CS of Energy. He's enjoying life, walking around saying a bunch of nothing. Okay, Hassan Joho is the CS of sijui nini, minerals and sijui nini, blue chips, sijui nini. Okay, so these guys have something to hold on to. That's why it is they're motivated to make sure that this arrangement between ODM and UDA continues, because they have something to gain from it. Okay, but Wakina Sifuna, they want to maintain the original position of the ODM that Raila made very clear before he died, that in 2027 ODM shall have its own what? Presidential candidate. But now they are being painted as people who want to sell the ODM party. Unaona, reverse psychology hapo hivyo. Okay? Because Junet went even as far as saying Sifuna alikutana na Uhuru Kenyatta sijui wapi, anataka kuuzia hiyo chama tu Uhuru Kenyatta. Okay? Meanwhile, these NIS affiliated personalities like the Caswells and this Somali guy, I don't know what his name is. It gets on my nerves. I don't know why I don't like him. So for some reason, I just don't like him. For some reason, I do not trust this guy. But anyway, that's beside my feelings aside. I'm just saying, sasa hawa watu ndio wamegeuza ati Sifuna and Orengo wanataka kuuza chama. While it is very, in fact, Sifuna should go to his X page or Facebook and post that video clip of Raila saying ODM shall field its own presidential candidate in 2027, and that Sifuna is the official mouthpiece of the party. To shut up, to make these people wanyamaze, hao wakina Kasmel na sijui wakina nani, who are NIS agents working for Ruto. Like I told you, it is in Ruto's best interest if he can swallow up ODM, because he needs that for the perception battle narrative that he is fully in control of the Nyanza votes by the way of these sellouts like Wanga, Opio Andai, Mbadi, and all these dimwits. You understand? That comes after Gachagua exposed Wanga and Junet that they were given deposit. Absolutely. Yes. So you see, so these people are trying to, these working, Somali, I don't know his name. Somebody tell me, I forgot his name. Somali ambaye amenonanona, along with Caswell, along with Wanga. These people and Junet, they're working so hard to push Sifuna out of the party, because Ruto, like I told you, Ruto has not forgiven Sifuna for Sifuna embarrassing him in that funeral when Sifuna alisema rais kama kitu ni mbaya mimi nitakwambia. Na hii broad base, it seems like you're not doing anything about it, because we still have extrajudicial killings, corruption pia inaendelea, and Ruto was not happy with that. And from that day, probably Ruto wanted Sifuna out, but Raila was that. Raila alikuwa ana protect Ruto, ana protect Sifuna. Unaelewa? So now that Raila is not there to protect Sifuna, Ruto is using this chubby Somali guy and Caswell and Wanga and Junet kuchafua jina ya Sifuna. So Sifuna will be under attack. Okay? Rem, they didn't answer Gachagua claims. Absolutely. Yeah? So you see, that is the game inachezwa hapa. Wanataka kutoa Sifuna kwa party. Yeye na Orengo. But all in all, ODM is done. ODM is done. ODM is done as a party. It's going to be fragmented. Itakuwa kama TNA. Okay? TNA is just known to be a party huko Central Province. So ODM will become like that. Ni TNA ama Jubilee, whatever the case is. So ODM will become like that. ODM itakuwa imejulikana tu ile party iko huko Nyanza. You know? So it's up to wakina Sifuna to see if they're going to stick with ODM or not. Yeah? Because hii mambo ya rebranding, there's much to do. ODM iko na uchafu mingi sana. It's 20 years. But you know, I think it will be there as a name, kama KANU. KANU is there, but what does KANU, I mean, what's so nini about KANU? KANU is ni jina tu. And that's how ODM will become. Like KANU, TNA, and all this regional. So what I suspect will happen in Nyanza province as far as politicians, voters in Nyanza province shall vote for their representative based on who they see fit. Okay? It won't be, we are voting for this one because it's ODM, because we understand ODM is Baba's ninio chama. No. Those are, hizo siku zimeenda. Ndio maana I'm saying wakina Wanga Mbadi and wakina sijui nani, huyu Opio and I, they better hope hii rigging ya Ruto, it works out. Because if it doesn't, question. Because these guys who have voted, most of these ODM MPs, representatives, whether MCA, governors, whatever the case is, they were being voted in by the strength of Raila Odinga. And Raila Odinga was ODM and ODM was Raila Odinga. Unaelewa? Sasa Raila hayuko, you have to use your own skills of persuasion. Unataka kufanya, what's your track record? Maendeleo gani imeleta kwa people? Why should people vote for you? Those are things that people now are going to ask. Hata kupigia tu kwa sababu wewe ni ODM. You know? Now, if things are to go by, we should examine Kasipul. Now, Kasipul, I don't know if there was rigging. I don't know if it was fair and square. Okay? But it was messy. That's one thing we know about it. Kasipul was messy. Okay? We saw the violence before and after. Hata wakina nani walichapwa huko, wakina nani. Huko angana meno kubwa kubwa. I don't know what's his name. Yeah? But that's what I'm saying. This time, it will be people voting candidates who they feel shall really represent them. People who will represent their cause. It won't be, oh, we are voting for you because you are in Baba's chama, or you are Baba's best friend, or you are Baba's best associate or uncle, or whatever the case is. So that's the only good thing that will come out from Nyanza, that people are going to start examining closely at this politicians. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, like I say, just to wrap it up, Mudavadi is the mouthpiece of the corrupt political class, elites of Kenya. So him introducing this idea of having a referendum on August 2027 during the general elections is very suspicious, given the timing and given the general ethos of the country. No one is talking about the need for a general election. It's only him and the Ruto and the political class. Okay? And this is done because Ruto is thinking ahead. He's thinking, after I rig the election, I will need the support of what? These minions, these so-called leaders of opposition, in order to help quell the tension that we shall have at that time. So how am I going to poesha these leaders, okay, these tribal chieftains? I will promise them positions, prime ministerial position, new CS position with longer terms, including the longer presidential term limit. Okay, that is one way of doing this, and they will keep on lording over us while the West keeps on extracting our minerals and usurping our sovereignty, which is in their hands. Okay, now with the Raila Odinga drama, like I said, that woman, what's her name? Oburu, as the head of the household now, should reach out to him, sit down with that lady. If you have to pay her, give her business back or whatever the case is, so we can stop all this unnecessary drama. As much as I do not align myself with Raila or Odinga family politically, I think some things needs to stay within the family, okay? It's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed on their behalf. Just listen to this lady talk about, so Win is not Raila's son or daughter or whatever the case is. That's just a bunch of nonsense. But anyway, and last but not least, Sifuna is being attacked by NIS agents, Kasmuel Makoure, who is a clout chaser. He doesn't really care much, but he loves the fact that his name is still out there by mentioning Sifuna, okay? And this Somali guy who is Raila's adopted son, who I suspect he's very suspicious. I don't trust this guy. He's said to be connected with Nuruddin Haji and all this NIS CID guy, okay? So I don't trust him. Sifuna is under attack. I don't know what we'll make out of ODM, but we shall see. Anyway, guys, that's all from me. My name is Ken Revolutionary. Shamaya, thank you so much for being here. Omugendi, and everybody else who watched this and who's going to watch this on repeat. Subscribe, share, like, comment, do all the good stuff. And Merry Christmas and have a happy New Year. I'll talk to you guys later. I'm out. Peace.